Hi there, it's Ruth Pringle here, speaking to you from Blue 9 Language Hub here in Perthshire, Scotland. I am so excited today. I get to speak to Diane Tisdall, who is joining me to talk about her English language teaching. So just to recap for those of you who haven't previously joined English teacher feature, this is your opportunity to meet an English language teacher or coach, ask questions, but most of all, just listen to us talking about the skills behind teaching and decide for yourselves if this is a person, a method that you feel would engage your English and get you started, get you on track, get you results, because not everybody's going to get results for everyone. It's really a case of finding your English teacher or your English course match. So having said that, we're going to have a chat with Diane today about her background as a teacher and also her current offer. So if you like what you hear, I'll give you the details at the end to get in touch with Diane. So please welcome and enjoy the conversation. Hiya, Diane. How are you today?
Hi, Ruth. I am really good. Thanks for having me today.
Pleasure.
Yeah, it's really nice to be here.
Yes. So you are an English. Do you call yourself a coach or a teacher?
I call myself more a trainer.
Okay.
Because I work mostly with adults who are looking to get over their hang-ups and feel less intimidated when they speak English, either for their work or either when they're on their travels. Or some people, they have some new family who speaks English and they want to have more meaningful conversations with them.
So you're meeting people at different points in their educational life. And then how do you help them speak or gain confidence with English? Is that the objective, confident speaking?
Yeah, confident speaking, and also it's around, definitely around mindset. So at the moment I'm working, I live in Clermont-Ferrand in France. For people who don't know France, it's near Lyon in the center. And a lot of people I work with in France, they maybe last learned English at school, or maybe they've spent some time in another country, but they have this little voice in their head. Maybe it's like, oh, maybe my accent's not good enough, or oh, I'm worried I'm going to forget my words. So my approach is around sort of drama and theatre activities. So to kind of put people on the spot. So that means I'm not going to work with you to prepare a text that you've written out carefully. We're going to go into a situation and we're going to go, okay, let's see what happens.
You're freestyling.
Yeah. So like, let's see what language you have. Let's see how you do. For example, yesterday I was with someone who loves traveling and they really want to have more meaningful conversations when they're traveling. So we practiced restaurant situations. She was the server, I was the customer, then I was the customer, she was the server.
So and taking it beyond the initial tourist conversation into something that's more interesting.
Yeah, because I think that's what people are looking for with communication. We communicate because we want to connect with people. We want to feel part of something. So
and I meet so many people who are frustrated. They say, oh, I was traveling to learn English, and they come home having, like, they've ordered their burger, but they haven't had a conversation, because it's hard. It depends on your personality style, but if you are maybe an introvert, or again, like you're discussing having the inner critic in your head say, making you worry about your language level, it holds you back. It's easier to be quiet, definitely. And it takes courage, and it also takes, you're right, practice of this real world English conversation to give you confidence.
Because that's right. This word practice, because people don't always have. I hear this a lot. Diane, I don't have enough practice. I don't have a space where I can practice English. So that's what I try and provide, both in the sessions with me, and then in between the sessions, maybe with WhatsApp voice messages, or little challenges like that. Or I say, you try have your lunchtime in English with your partner, or something small but real life, they can build into their everyday.
And adapted to them. It sounds like you listen to the person. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. You're listening to them, you find out about their life, their needs, and then you set kind of challenges that I kind of talk about my challenges as in like taking you out of your comfort zone, but not too far.
Exactly. Because that could be scary. It's true. My approach is so creative. I would say three things: creative, kind, and community-based. So there is the creative part. It's like I just said, we do creative activities like drawing or music, or even baking. Sometimes it is possible online. I did it during COVID. The kitchen got a bit messy, but it was okay.
Get flour in your computer keyboard.
I did, yes. But when you're being creative, there's this freedom to explore, to test, to make mistakes in a sort of safe, a fun way. That's what's really nice about.
It's making experimentation okay. Because a lot of school, and you began by talking about the education system and how people are kind of frightened to speak, or they don't feel confident in their voice. But a lot of practice is actually making errors, or even saying it well the first time when you didn't know you could say it well, and then when you need it, you've got it. But that's a safe practice space.
Yeah, definitely. It's feeling at ease. I mean, I understand too, because I'm British. I live in France. I've set up my business here in France. I run my business in French, all the admin, and I make mistakes every day, and I've learned to get more comfortable with that. Because as adults, we don't like making mistakes. We want to be seen as professional. We want to be seen as knowing what we're talking about. So I really empathize with the people I work with, because I think we feel we're trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, there's this question of how do you show up as the professional with like your professional accuracy in a language that you're not as accurate as you want to be within, which is it's really a huge frustration for people, without a doubt. Again, one approach, and one more common approach, I suppose, in English language teaching is the traditional class structure, which perhaps gives you more like longer list of grammar and vocabulary maybe, but without actually closing the circle on the language that you do know and that you do have, and without the practice which you give people. It's really almost pointless to keep putting language into your head, because when you use it, that's how it becomes yours. That's how you gain confidence in it. That's how you,
yeah, that's definitely what I'm about. It's about using your English, not studying it. Of course, if we need to look at certain aspects of grammar to help you communicate more clearly, of course, we will look at that. You know, if there are words you don't know and you need to communicate, of course, we will look at those. But my approach is very much, you know, learning through doing. And that's why I've created this new course that we were talking about a bit through our LinkedIn posts.
Yeah, so it's called Do Be Feel, your course.
Yeah.
Can you break that down to do, be, and feel?
Yeah. So to do is, well, we do creative things like we've talked about already. You know, we do baking, we do some music, we do some storytelling. Be is that you are in the moment. Be in the moment. So when you're in the moment, when you're doing things, you're not thinking, oh, what is it, that word I need? Or what is my accent doing? You're doing, you feel more, you're speaking more fluidly, you're in the moment. And feel is more to feel yourself in English, because like you said before, people feel frustrated that they're not being their real self in English, when they're kind of holding themselves back. So my program is that's why it's called Do Be Feel. And concretely,
it sounds like a recipe. It's like a recipe for how to gain confidence. Do be feel.
Yes. That's very nice that you say recipe, because the program, it's a 3-month program online, and at the end of each month there is a workshop. So the first month is baking. We make cake together. The second month, at the end of the second month, we do something called jazz chants, which helps you work with your intonation and your rhythm. And at the end of the third month, we do a storytelling workshop, because in life we are always telling stories about us, about our family, about our work.
Yeah, it's where you go when you're meeting a stranger and you're falling into conversation with this stranger, isn't it? It's stories like there's small talk, which can be a useful icebreaker, but the next thing is just having, and it's not about language, it's about confidence, being able to tell a story, just kind of sort of like trusting in that power. That power transcends language, really. But you just, again, if you don't practice it, if you doubt yourself when you start doing your story,
it's not a good story. And so, for example, with the baking workshop, so in the weeks before the baking workshop, we look at the language you might need to help you with the workshop around food, around. We also look at conversation skills, like asking for advice, or does this look okay, or what do you think about this?
Nice.
So we have 1 or 2 sessions in the 3 weeks before the workshop.
Yeah.
And to get everyone feeling ready and comfortable. Then at the end of the month, we get our aprons on and we get baking and make some food together and have another chat that way.
And quite obviously, just in case it's not obvious, when we're talking about the language of baking, it's not so that you can then have a conversation about baking when you're in Wales, or when you're in America, the language that you just gave examples of, like that is useful for meetings. That's useful for workshopping with clients. That's
exactly.
you are taking language that's learned in an informal and fun situation, and giving people an enjoyable way of learning it. But this is practical language for really professional situations.
Exactly, because I can hear people saying, "Oh, baking's not very serious. It's that's not going to help me with my job." But like you say, this is language that kind of can be used anywhere. It's making me think about someone I work with, and she's working with me in a conversation club that I have online. We talk about everything, food, film, travel, the news. And yeah, it was very unexpected for her. She says, now I feel more confident at work. When I go to conferences, I ask questions, which I wasn't doing before. And that's because we had conversations about other stuff.
100%.
Yeah.
So often people are like, oh, I need English for business, so I need to take a business English course. And then actually, when you're talking about people that you have to build confidence in speaking and communicating and sharing stories and expressing opinions, you can learn all of that stuff in a completely different context. And I would argue, and I do argue, because that's what I do too, as you know, with my English language holidays in Scotland. It's about when you use that language within a comfortable setting, within a relaxed, fun, enjoyable setting, actually you import that relaxation and that sense of fun when you're next using the language, which is something that just working on the language itself can't give you, but the real experience absolutely can. I know you've got a background in music, and you mentioned a little bit about the intonation and been using that for pronunciation. I think that's always exciting when an English language coach or teacher or trainer has another passion, something different that they can bring into the teaching. Do you bring in music to your or how does your musical background help your students?
Okay. So before I was an English trainer, I was a professional violinist and a music historian. So as a professional violinist, I played at weddings in lots of nice places, big castles, in cruise ships. Yeah,
I'm so jealous of that one.
Yeah, cruise ships. That was very nice. Around Iceland and Norway and different places. That was very cool. But that sensation when lots of people are looking at you and you are kind of expressing yourself. I've done that for years and years, and well, personally, I love that because that's my personality, but I understand that some people that's pretty uncomfortable. So I can help people feel more comfortable when kind of the spotlight's on them. And as a music historian, I did a PhD in music history. I got excited about music education in France during the French Revolution. So the beginning of the Paris Conservatoire. So I spent a lot of time doing research. I spoke at conferences. I met people from lots of different countries, so lots of different accents and different things. So,
I would say that some English learners have had the experience of being in English classrooms where the person who is responsible for their English language education is only excited about English and only excited about telling them about English. And I feel like it's hugely refreshing to have a trainer who has this life experience, who has different passions, different experiences. It doesn't mean you can only communicate with people who have a similar appreciation of like French conservatoire music.
Yeah, that's quite niche.
But you can meet professionals who are passionate about anything.
Yeah.
Because you have that thread of determination and excitement that you can connect through.
And so again, you know, I have this artistic background, but also, you know, the scientific background. I understand it's important to communicate clearly. I understand it's important to communicate precisely. You know, I kind of have sort of understanding of both sides of the coin. So I understand that both things are important, you know, to be rigorous, but also to be creative.
Yes,
well.
to be free when you need to be free and rigorous when you need to be rigorous.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they're not absolutely, everybody needs both skills equally. There's times that you absolutely have to be precise in your messaging and what you're saying, and then there's other times that that's not the priority. Actually just feeling good, relaxing into language, speaking freely and listening well, because we're talking much about communication. There's obviously it's a two-way.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And this is something I say a lot to the people I work with. It's a two-way thing. It's not all on you to understand and be understood. You know, the other person has some work to do as well. I know that doesn't always happen, but I try and help people generate that and make that happen, you know, with things like, you know, clarifying questions, you know.
Can you give me an example of?
Yeah, or do you mean this? Or if I understood you right, you were talking about this.
They're tools.
There are tools.
Yeah, useful tools that when you know these ones by heart, it can enable you to be spontaneous. So
Exactly, because people think, wow, spontaneous. It's just like some kind of like woo, like kind
it's
of
like fridge magnet poetry, like somebody.
yeah.
Oh my God.
I love that fridge magnet poetry. And then you can be spontaneous, you know, little by little, and with the right tools. You know, it's like I play my violin, and people are like, "Wow," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've spent time on my own doing my exercises, and you know, to be able to do something that looks
Hugely
and sounds spontaneous." So, and it's the same with speaking. It's exactly. It's not some magic that some people have and some people haven't. I think anyone can be spontaneous with the
anyone
right
can be.
tools and
That
the practice.
That's the advantage of working with a trainer, though, because for some people that will definitely be easier than others. So for some people, like your role will be to help them with that spontaneity, and with other people there might be dropping in accuracy into the spontaneous play. So that's what we do. that's how we help people. I just have one last question about your course, because I believe it starts in September. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm running my beta version of my course, my test version, September to December, over 3 months. So if that's something people would like to hear more about or want to talk to me about, they can contact me on LinkedIn, or I have a website as well, tisdallish.com. So there's 2 ways to get in
Lovely.
touch with me. I'm also running a mini beta version. I don't have a better name. A mini beta version, a sample of my program next month in July.
Oh, that's exciting.
So a month of my program. I have space for 6 people. So again, people can contact me via LinkedIn or through my website if they want to hear some more.
Wonderful. That might just be the right timing for someone. There's a lot of people who don't have time during the year, but only have time in the summer.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think September is a great time to start a project like that. It's absolutely fabulous. Take that fresh, that freedom of summer that we find in summer, and then channel it into a little bit of language practice, language acquisition, without any of the kind of weight that we normally associate with language learning, because it can be that much fun, it can feel free, it can feel that good, and still get results. It's not
exactly.
It's not like you have to choose between fun and learning. You can
definitely
get both.
Definitely not. You can definitely have both. Like we were saying before, between rigor and creativity, it's exactly the same thing. So
I think that's one of the reasons why I run this series, because a lot of people, for the online English teacher feature, a lot of people have experience of classroom learning and they don't have experience as an adult of any alternative. And especially language, they think this is what language learning must look like. This is what it looked like when I was like 18 or 20, but really not the case. Really not the case. You've evolved, language teaching has evolved, and thank you so much for sharing your offer and giving us a glimpse inside how you work. It's absolutely a delight to speak to you. We chatted a little bit in the beginning about how we were possibly kindred spirits and we might be so excited that we'd just be like, I think we kept it together quite well there, and managed to just share, give people a real glimpse of how you can help them, which is always a pleasure for me as a English coach, to see how other people really create the transformations in their people's lives. So thank you very much for sharing, Dan. And I will repeat, if anybody wants to get in touch or find out more about your course, reach out to you. Just go to the website or find you on LinkedIn. Thanks for talking today. Brilliant. Okay.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.